watching Barnstable This Morning, and this morning we're at the Barnstable Municipal Airport with Assistant Airport Manager Katie Servis. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem.
So many things to talk about. First, I know there are a lot of issues with the use of drones, and the public is starting to use them more and more often. Tell me, how is the airport dealing with this issue?
Well, I think that it's been difficult because the drone or UAS phenomena came upon everyone rather quickly. So even FAA was scrambling to have some type of regulation in place for us to be able to deal with it. What it really comes down to is locally, the airport has to deal with it as well as local law enforcement. So there are 3 different types of drone operators. There's commercial operators who would be your real estate agencies. There are operators who are hobbyists, which would be considered your recreational, and then there's public, so like the Barnstable Police Department or the Harbor Master, they would be public operators. There's a lot of different regulations for all 3. The best information I can give you is that basically all operators have to stay outside of the airport, 5 miles outside of the airport. That's really difficult for this particular area. We not only have Barnstable Municipal, but there's Marston's Mills, so there's a lot of airports in this area. But the main premise of it is to keep our aircraft that are here flying into and out of this airport safe. So there is a 5-mile radius that's protected. Operators can fly in that 5-mile radius if they receive prior permission. But if anybody needs further information, we'll be posting something on our website soon. And then the FAA has a website that's dedicated to UAS activity. UAS is Unmanned Aircraft Systems. And because they're UASs, they're aircraft, so they have to follow aircraft regulations. So anybody can go to the FAA.gov/UAS to find more information.
Now, who enforces this?
So because they're UASs, unmanned aircraft regulation falls under the FAA. However, when it comes to enforcing the regulations, for instance, if there was a UAS that was being operated at a public beach, for instance, and people at the beach thought that it was a privacy concern or it was a concern from a safety regulation, that's when the local law enforcement would be involved. And we're trying to work out those particulars right now. There is some training that has to occur with our local law enforcement so that they know what the regulations are, they know what licenses they have to ask for of the operators. So right now it's a little bit fuzzy because we weren't ready for the onslaught of drone activity, and everybody's catching up, including the FAA.
Wow, such an interesting conundrum to find yourself in, and a challenge, I would think, for the airport.
It is a challenge. There are some UAS operators that are very skilled operators. For instance, commercial operators are required to have a private pilot's license, so they already know the rules and regulations of aviation, but the hobbyists do not. And our biggest concern is there are many more hobbyists than there are commercial operators. Our concern is to keep the airport safe, which is why we have that 5-mile umbrella over the airport to protect the airport and the flying public. But again, they would have to receive prior permission from our control tower to be within that 5-mile radius. There's also altitude requirements. For hobbyists, they have to be under 400 feet. If they're in the airspace, for commercial operators, they have to be below 200 feet. So there's a lot of different regulations. The FAA has done a very nice job of outlining that on their website, but we're also going to be providing, within the end of the week, providing links on our website as well.
Wonderful. That's such a help, I think, too, for people who, like you said, hobbyists who may not have a lot of that background info, a good place for them to go and find out those rules and regulations.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about seasonal happenings here at the airport. I know JetBlue, how many years has JetBlue been running flights out of the airport?
This will be the 3rd season, and we're very excited because JetBlue moves very methodically when they're looking at an airport to start operating out of. They move slow for a purpose. They want to make sure that the market is ripe, that it makes sense for them to provide the service. So we've seen that not only in Hyannis, we've seen it at other airports across the nation. So this is their 3rd season, but each season they have increased the amount of time that they're actually here. So this year they're starting on May 12th. From May 12th until June 16th, they'll be operating Thursdays through Mondays. They're going to have Tuesdays and Wednesdays they will not operate. Then starting June 16th all the way through September, there'll be daily flights. The exciting part for us is not only are they adding a month to the beginning of their season by starting on the 12th, at the end of the season they're going to go until October 11th.
Wow,
which is fantastic.
That's amazing.
Again, September to October will not be daily. They'll, I believe the September from Labor Day through Columbus Day, they'll operate on a Friday-Sunday schedule.
This is great news because this is a really good, I would think, for the airport as well as for residents who live here and the tourism industry, because you're bringing a lot of people in. When you make it easier for someone to come, a lot more people will take advantage.
Right. How I look at it is, I mean, you have a lot of people that are coming to the Cape from the New York area, and it's ease of travel for them. They don't have to deal with that drive coming onto the Cape, coming out of New York and into New Jersey. So it's a lot easier commute for them. Under an hour, they're here in Hyannis and off to their summer homes or on to vacation. I think it's a lot easier. Additionally, for those Cape residents that want to fly someplace else, they get to JFK, they can go anywhere in the world. So rather than drive to Providence, drive to Boston to catch a flight, they can just take it out of Hyannis. And with it having daily activity, it has good connections out of JFK.
Now, have the fares stayed? I know when they first began, the JetBlue fares were really reasonable as well for residents and visitors to take advantage of. Do you know what their fares will look like at all this summer?
So I looked at their fares recently. They already have some very competitive fares going to and from New York from Hyannis in the startup season. I don't know if those fares will change, but they usually have some type of fare promotion. I know for the beginning of May they do as well. So I would suggest get online, go to jetblue.com and see what they have to offer.
Wow, so amazing. Love that. Another exciting thing happening here at the airport, which I'm personally really excited about because I'm a huge fan of the Centerville Pie Company, but the Centerville Pie Company is actually going to open up a location right here at the airport, which is so exciting.
Yes, it is very exciting. We haven't had a restaurant or a cafe for quite some time. We know that that has been a concern of many of our transient folks that come in and out of here during the summertime, that we just don't have anything at our facility. In speaking to Centerville Pie, it seems like a great fit. They were looking for an east side of town distribution center. So they spoke to us and we're ready to go. They've already decorated their space. They're going to be doing a soft opening on April 22nd. Their hours are not posted yet. I think they want to see how much activity they get through the airport. And then their grand opening is actually going to be during JetBlue's first arrival for the season. So May 12th is going to be quite a to-do here at the airport, with Centerville Pie having a grand opening and us welcoming back JetBlue. We tried to make everything as easy as possible for people that customers do want to come to this location rather than going to Centerville. So we have a little play on words for our parking, but we've decided to place some priority parking in our parking lot. Any customers can come in. They can stay for free for a half an hour just to come into the pie shop, get their pies. If they opt to sit down and eat at the cafe, they have up to 2 hours of a limit to eat at the cafe, get a voucher stamp for their parking, and parking is free. The other item that we added, which I think is a great idea, if you're coming home, you don't have dinner made, you can stop by the airport and you can actually park in one of 2 spaces that are located at the terminal. It's called priority parking, and what happens is you order your pies, you order whatever it is that you want to. When you get to the location, you can't leave your vehicle because you're parked in a TSA area, a security area. But you can call Centerville Pie and you say, I'm here to pick up my pie, and they'll have somebody come out and bring you your delivery.
That is the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
So we're trying to make it very easy for customers to get in and out of the airport to use Centerville Pie's location.
I love it. I think it sounds great, because what better way to get a convenient, wonderful homemade dinner on your way home?
Exactly.
You can just pick up a pie on your way and head home.
Right. I think we have to all join a gym now that the Centerville Pie is coming here, but we'll work on that.
Sounds good. Well, Katie, thank you so much for sitting down with me today and
problem.
telling me everything about what's happening at the airport. I guess I should ask you before I let you go, we should talk a little bit about the new fuel farm and get an update on that.
Sure. The new fuel farm, basically, it's moving right along. For those of you that don't know, we have a 20,000-gallon underground tank that we've had for many years, and we want to make sure that all of our fuel type tanks are above ground. We'd rather have them above ground. So we're removing that tank. We've installed 3 above ground tanks. They're each 20,000 capacity for 60,000 pounds total. It's for Jet A fuel. Right now, they're just buttoning up, doing some very minor last-minute items. They're doing some paving around the farm. In general, what's happening, we need to have the fire marshal come and do his inspection, as well as Hyannis Fire Department, and then some training for our staff. We're thinking about mid-May to the end of May that we actually will have the grand opening of the new fuel farm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, glad to hear that's moving right along, and so many other developments here. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today and telling us everything that's happening here at the airport.
No problem. My pleasure.
My guest this morning was the Assistant Airport Manager, Katie Servis. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sara Mannal.